or musahaqa. He was talking about marriage. You know, he predicted that the buildings of Mecca would surpass the mountains. Who could have thought of that in the 7th century of Arabia? Who could have thought of that? He predicted that people would go out of their houses with things on their thighs that would tell them what was happening back in their families. He said that people would talk to shiraku na'alihi, which in Arabic, shiraku na'al is this. That is what a shiraku na'ali, which is the universal sign today for telephone. And he said a man will talk to his shiraku na'al. You know, that's how people say it, right? The Arabs call that shiraku na'al. The Prophet ﷺ predicted many things that have come true. That in the 7th century in Arabia, it just would not have been possible to predict those things, or they wouldn't even occur to people.
The Prophet said, children born outside of marriage will become commonplace.
In Colombia, more than 8 out of every 10 children are born to unwed mothers.
But the actual percent of U.S. births to unmarried women has gone up a lot. 2002, 34% of all births. 2013, 40.6% of all births in the U.S.
In 1960, 5% of children entered the world without a mother and father married to each other. By 1980, it was 18%. By 2000, it had risen to 33%, and 15 years later, the number reached 41%.
The Prophet said, in the end times, obesity would become prevalent.
Well, the explosion of overweight and obese people in the developing world is largely down to the emerging economies, those that have gone through a transition from being low-income economies to middle-income economies in the last generation. And that has produced a large middle class of people who have rising incomes and they can buy the foods they want, and they're undertaking more sedentary lifestyles.
Smog will appear over cities because of the evil that they are doing.
India's second largest city, New Delhi, remains shrouded in dangerously thick smog.
Problem affecting a huge swathe of northern China at the moment, with a pollution cloud hanging over this country from the Russian border in the far northeast all the way down to the central cities.
The Prophet said, great distances will be traversed in short spans of time. And voices will be raised in mosques. Rain will be acidic or burning.
Acid rain is any form of precipitation with high levels of nitric and sulfuric acids. It can occur in the form of snow, fog, and even dry materials that settle to earth. Most acid rain is caused by human activities.
That there will be dishes and they will be communicating constantly, and then people will break the ties of kingship. The word for dishes is literally a dish, and the word that's used now is the word for satellites, and they're dishes and they communicate. Academic journal that says there is a correlation between people sitting at home watching satellite TV and not having communal family ties anymore.
These signs leave absolutely no doubt about the prophethood of Muhammad. May the blessings of Allah be upon him. It's impossible somebody could predict all these signs 1400 years ago, except a prophet of God. These hadith were recorded thousands of years ago, in manuscripts that have been carbon dated back thousands of years by scientists. So nobody can even claim that these signs were made up to fit current events. What these signs also prove is that there is absolutely no doubt left that we are living in the end times. All the minor signs that have been prophesied have come to pass right in front of our eyes, as you saw in this video. This means we are on the brink of seeing the major signs of the end times. The real question is not when is the last hour. The question is, what have you prepared for it?
يسألك الناس عن الساعة قل إنما علمها عند الله وما يدريك لعل الساعة تكون قريبا.
One of the first major signs that will plunge our world into dark times is a war so great, which humanity has not witnessed before.
The next event that is about to occur is the Great War. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, and he said when Jerusalem is center stage and flourishing, built up, which is where we are now, then look for the Malhama. The Malhama is a great war. The Malhama is not just a great war. It's a war like no war has ever been. That 99 out of every 100 of the combatants will die, will be killed. The only way that 99 out of every 1,000 can be killed is if it's a war with weapons of mass destruction. NATO is preparing for war with Russia.
This war has been planned long before by the evil forces that rule the world today. These same evil people caused World War I and World War II. We can prove this claim by a letter that was written by an American general, Albert Pike.
A 33-degree Mason and a top leader of the Ku Klux Klan, Pike was also believed to be a Luciferian. He claimed he was able to summon Lucifer at will as the Grand Master of the Order of the Palladium.
In 1871, Pike allegedly sent a letter to an Italian political activist named Giuseppe Mazzini, in which he describes a curious dream about 3 world wars. In this letter, Pike apparently outlines specific events leading up to World Wars I and II. Additionally, Pike pushed for the organization of communism, Nazism, Zionism, and other international movements as tools to escalate these conflicts. According to this letter, the Illuminati will provoke a 3rd World War by creating religious conflicts in the Middle East. After this war is ended, the letter claims that nihilists and atheists will create bloody turmoil, leading the world's disillusioned masses to follow Lucifer.
Today we can see clear preparations being made for this war. The Georgia Guidestones is a granite monument erected in the United States. This monument has 10 commandments for the world. But to this day, nobody knows the author of these commandments. One of the commandments is to maintain humanity under 500 million. This proves that the satanic powers are behind this, and to achieve this they will cause a world war. And they will surely succeed in achieving this. Because remember that our prophet said that 99% of the people fighting will die in this war. But why do they want this war?